Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I was just sitting here having my morning coffee and I was inspired to make a video for you guys about how to deal with haters, toxic people, and bad energy people in general. So obviously I've got some life experience behind me. I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, I'm a content creator. There's a lot of toxic people in my past. I had some dysfunction going on in my family when I was younger, but also being a content creator, obviously you open yourself up to comments and to people's opinions and all of this kind of stuff. So today I want to share with you a few tips on how to deal with this type of energy and these type of people in your life. And I hope that it will help some people out there who may be needed to hear this video today. So as usual, I will not be sitting in front of the camera. This is going to be something more or less for you to listen to, but I will put some tips on the screen and I will share some pretty imagery in the background for you. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Alithia. I am a content creator. I'm a nurse. I'm a mom. So I like to keep a happy home and also a happy mind. And I talk about a little bit of everything on this channel. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, I would love if you would consider subscribing. You can also feel free to head over and follow me on Instagram for more content over there. And with that out of the way, let's get into today's tips. So we're going to get into some more exciting tips after, but the first one is basically a little bit more generalized and it's geared toward more toxic people with bad energy. And this is to keep your circle small and protect your bubble. Basically, it's to be really aware of how other people affect your energy and not allowing these toxic or low energy people into your day-to-day life on a regular basis. So there's obviously going to be some people that you can't help but interact with in some capacity, whether that's a relative or maybe your boss. But minimize the extent to which you have to exchange experiences with these people. Just really keep it simple. Like I keep my circle simple. You know, I only have a few people that I talk to on a regular basis. I've got my family, I've got my partner, my boyfriend, and I've got the people that I associate with when I go to work. But other than that, I keep my circle super, super small because I am hyper aware of the fact that people affect me, people affect our energy, and the more people I expose myself to, the more social outings I expose myself to, the more groups I choose to engage in, that is just more opportunity for my energy to be disturbed or become affected negatively or influenced negatively or something from somebody else who might not be right for me in my life. Tip number 2 is to remove triggers. So for me, this can be the comment section on YouTube. It really depends on the type of video. If I upload a video that I think might be a little bit controversial, so for me in the past, it was perfume declutter videos because I kind of went on a roller coaster where I was collecting perfumes and reviewing perfumes on YouTube. And it just became like kind of this toxic thing for me that no longer was fun after a while. And it could have been controversial to some people because they would get upset when I would let a certain perfume go and all this kind of nonsense. So for me, those type of videos became a trigger for me, and I could tell because if I would look through the comments, I would easily get triggered by rude comments or people criticizing something or whatever it was. So you have to know what your triggers are. And you have to reduce those triggers. So for you, it could be something like the Instagram feed or your Facebook feed, or certain people that trigger you. So you really need to be aware of your triggers and remove your triggers. Number 3, number 4, and number 5 are all kind of mixed in together. So number 3 is if it's bad for you, stop exposing yourself to it. So for example, that could be the Instagram feed or your Facebook feed. Like I told you guys, I left Facebook a few years ago, 3 years ago now, and I do not regret it at all. Number 4 is consider leaving one or more social media platforms because as we know, social media can be very detrimental to our health, and the rates of anxiety, depression, and other health concerns, mental health concerns have skyrocketed with the introduction of Facebook and Instagram in particular, and there's studies that have shown this. Number 5 is that if we can't leave social media or don't want to leave social media, at least go through and curate who you follow and who you allow to follow you. So your connections, essentially. Mix up your settings a little bit and make your social medias more of a positive space for you rather than a negative space. So like I said, I left Facebook a few years ago. I do not regret it for a second. You know how you might have a breakup or somebody that you were friends with for a while and for some reason that relationship went sour and they're somebody you really don't care to ever see again or hear about again or talk to again. But thanks to the algorithm, Facebook is going to keep recommending this person to you, and they're going to keep recommending friends of that person. And this is just something, why would you spend your energy looking at that throughout the day? Like, this is something you don't need to see on a day-to-day basis. I have such a small, bubble of energy around myself. I don't even watch mainstream television. I don't sit here and scroll the Instagram feed to see whatever might pop into my day. That's basically like asking for a random dump of information into your brain that may or may not be good for you. Or that's basically like telling Google, hey, just share with me whatever you want. Let's see if it's good for me or not. Like, why would you spend your energy doing that? So number 3, 4, and 5 is if it's bad for you, stop exposing yourself to it, which kind of goes back to knowing your triggers. You don't necessarily need to be connected to all people and all ideas. And there's a lot of people that are not in your life anymore for a reason. And so if they're not in your life organically, like you're not organically friends with this person or this idea, why would you allow it to just trickle into your life by default? You have to think about your bubble as something that you can kind of protect, and you can let certain things in and keep certain things out. And social media is a huge part of that. So if it's not serving you, if you are being shown images or suggestions or ads or ideas that are negatively impacting your mental health, and you can tell that they do because you're pretty good at knowing how you feel after you've been exposed to somebody or something, then you have to find a way to curate that and get rid of those people. And don't guilt yourself into thinking, oh, I should keep following them because whatever, like, oh, I feel bad if I would, not quote unquote, not support that person. It's not about that. It's about your mental health and your mental energy. We take everything on social media way too literally these days. When it comes to Facebook or Instagram or whatever, don't feel like, oh shoot, that person's going to be upset that I'm not following them, or that person's going to be upset that I'm not allowing them to follow me. Like, I've blocked people or restricted people in the past, like years ago, who I was like, I don't really know if I want that person seeing my stuff. I don't want them to have the ability to be able to write me. I don't need to see their message pop up. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to see their face pop up. Like, we take it too literally. We're like, oh, I don't want to offend that person by not following them. I don't want to offend them by not allowing them to follow me. Stop taking it so personally, you guys. Like, social media has only been here for a fraction of time. And I'm lucky enough that I was a 90s kid. I grew up, thank goodness, in a time when we didn't have this garbage. Like, you didn't have to worry about, oh, are they going to be mad that I unfollowed them and all this stuff. Like, don't take it so literally. People will not be that offended. At first, people might be like, oh, they're not my friend anymore on Facebook. That's weird. And they might be a little bit weird. They may even ask you about it. My God, I don't miss those days at all, because then you have to explain like, oh yeah, sorry about that. I just, needed to protect my bubble. So really take a step back from social media and ask yourself, like, do I need to be on this platform? And if I do, is there a way I can make it so that it works for me in a better way for my mental health? Number 6 is also kind of closely related to the last few topics. And this tip is stop mindless scrolling. Just do it right now. It is not good for you. I don't mind when an occasional cute meme or something cute will pop up on the feed that makes me laugh and it really uplifts my day, and I share it with somebody else and it makes them laugh. I think that there's a lot of benefits of social media in that way. And the good thing is, the more of those types of things you engage with, the more that it will recommend those similar types of things to you. And so sometimes when you first open Instagram, it'll show me something super cute and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I show other people, but I don't ever sit there and like scroll endlessly for hours or whatever. And if I start to catch myself doing it, I'm so aware of it now and how damaging that is to me and what a waste of time it is to me, that I actually consciously tell myself not to, and I go do something else. So this is a habit that took a little bit of time to get into, because back in the day, I was one of those people who just always was on my Facebook app and scrolling, refreshing. It was such a waste of time. It was stopping me from being productive. It was taking me away from focusing on my own life, and I was focusing on what everybody else was doing. So it does take some time to train yourself to stop doing this. These apps are designed by computer people and by people with psychology backgrounds who are literally paid to make the apps more addictive. So they are very addictive. So number 6 is to stop mindlessly scrolling. And due to the way the algorithms work, it is going to show you content all the time that may or may not be in your best interest. You have to remember that, like, not everything that you are exposing yourself to is in your best interest. So it comes down to protecting your bubble and knowing what you want to bring into your bubble that's going to enhance your life and make you a happier, better, more productive, more inspired person, and what is going to detract from that. Number 7 is where it gets a little bit more juicy, and this is specifically responding to haters and trolls and toxic people and people in your life who are are rude to you, whether that's in person or on social media or wherever it may be. Number 7 is to remember that misery loves company, and a lot of people do not want to see you succeed. So be very careful who you share what information with, especially your goals and your dreams. So there's an inherent energy that comes from inspiration inside you. This pressure of inspiration when you get an idea, like when you become really excited about something, it grows inside of you and it pushes you forward and it propels you forward. It's kind of like putting gas in the tank of your car. You have all that fuel inside your car, you're excited, you're motivated, and you're doing good things for yourself, and you're becoming successful, and you're getting good grades, and you're going to the gym, and you're doing all these things for yourself that are bettering your life. When you share that idea or that excitement or a goal or dream with somebody else, especially if that person is not as supportive of you as you might think they are, you lose a little bit of that power and energy. Have you ever thought of a goal that you wanted, like getting more fit, quitting drinking, or going back to school, and then you told somebody about it? And immediately after you told that person, it felt like the wind had been sucked from your sails. That's why there's this old quote, guys, that says, don't tell people your goals until they're done. Let the success speak for itself. Talk about it after you've done it, because you lose motivation, and jealous or unhappy people do not necessarily want to see you succeed. They don't necessarily want to support you. They would prefer to gossip about you or criticize you or give you suggestions as to why that might not work out for you. Or they try to, for some reason, break your motivation and your excitement. So be very careful who you share your goals and your dreams and your excitement with. If you're super, super pumped about something, you don't necessarily have to put it on Facebook. You can just be excited for yourself. Do something that you're excited about for yourself that you do not have to share with the world to get external validation. Just do it for yourself. Number 8 is a very basic one, and it's really hard for us to internalize and to understand sometimes, but this is that you will not always please everybody all the time. So stop trying. No matter what you do, no matter what direction you choose, no matter how good, quote unquote, good you are, there will always be someone who has something to say. And remember that people's opinions really don't matter. There will always be a hater somewhere with something to say. They will never see me as anything other than what they want to see me as. So I don't care about them. It is not my job to make that person like me. It's none of my business what they think about me. So you have to remember that you're just not going to please everyone all the time, so it doesn't matter. So stop trying to. Number 9 is that the meanest and most toxic people are always the loudest. Have you ever noticed that when people leave reviews for a product, there's always more negative written reviews than positive ones, and it makes it seem like the product is so bad, but actually it might be a pretty decent product? This is because if most people have an experience with something that is okay or not bad, or they liked it, they don't really care to leave a review. But if somebody had a really bad experience with something, you better believe they want to leave a review. They want their voice to be heard. So people who are classless or ignorant or immature or belligerent do not have a filter. So you need to take comments and messages from these people with a grain of salt. There's a difference between a concerned family member or friend telling you constructive feedback or that they're concerned about something, and somebody just saying rude and hateful things just to be rude and hateful. So you have to know the difference between those two types of people and what they're saying, and know who to give and who not to give your energy to. So just remember that the ones that are emotionally immature, they're struggling with something themselves, they're ignorant, they're hateful, they're toxic, they have a lot of anger inside of them, they have a lot of hate inside them, those are always going to be the loudest people. It is not a representation of you, and it is not a representation of how most people feel toward whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're a content creator or whether it's people in your surroundings. So don't let 1% of bad people affect 99% of the rest of your experience. Number 10, that being said, even well-meaning people can still have a toxic or negative effect on your life. Even people who are good friends with you or close family members or people who really care about you, who think that they're helping, can seriously drag you down. So you still have to be aware of how people affect you. Most of this comes down to just being very aware of your energy and how your energy changes around people and things, and protecting that. Again, it comes down to protecting your bubble. Huge believer in the saying and the reminder, always tell yourself, protect your bubble, protect your bubble. So this will fall on you to be hyper aware of how exchanges with people make you feel. For example, at one point I shared with a friend some goals that I had about school and hobbies and things that I was working on. And I had my reservations about sharing those things because I know how this expansive energy is very valuable, and I didn't want to pop my bubble of energy and my bubble of motivation by opening up the doors and sharing it with another person. I kind of wanted to keep it inside and I was so excited and I was so passionate, and I didn't want to interfere with that passion and that manifestation process. If you guys know what I'm talking about, then you'll understand. But against my better judgment, because she had asked what I was up to and what I was doing that day, against my better judgment, I told my friend what I was working on. And one of the very first things she said back was, yeah, but what if that's too much for you, or too much on your plate, or too much for you to handle? And then, do you really think you're going to follow through with that? Do you really think that's something you're going to actually do? Or like, is this just going to be kind of a passing idea? So essentially, not only did I open up and share my motivation and my excitement and my energy with her, which is already takes a little bit away from my internal processes of manifestation, but then she sort of poked holes in my sails by introducing the idea that I could fail. And she was a well-meaning person. She didn't mean to do anything bad by it. So trust me, guys, this isn't just a manifestation thing. This is something I've experienced over and over in my life. The only person I ever share these types of goals and dreams with, and I don't even share all of them with, is my partner, because his response is always, that's amazing. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I want to help you. How can I help you? That's how he responds. That is the definition of an untoxic person. That's a helpful person. And you have to know who are those people for you in your life. It could be a teacher, anybody who is there to uplift you and truly has good intentions for you and your best interest at heart. Those are the only people, if any, that you should be opening up and sharing all of your goals and dreams with. Really, it should be between you and God, or you and the universe, or you and whatever you consider a higher power to be, or just within yourself. So number 10 is that even people who love you still can have a toxic effect on your life and don't need to know everything, and you still have to protect your bubble, even from people who love you and are well-meaning. Number 11 is you don't have to explain yourself to haters or people who are not in agreement with you or with what you're doing. These people, like I said, are loud, they're arrogant, and they're stuck in their own thinking. And you are not going to change the mind of somebody who has decided that they don't like you, especially when usually these people are already very closed-minded or immature, and they already have a lot of work to do on themselves. They obviously have some source of anger and hatred inside of them, some horrible ball of energy inside them that they need to deal with. These type of people, you are not going to be able to change their mind, and there is no point in arguing with or responding to these people. You owe nothing to anybody. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to fight for their approval. The best way to respond to a rude comment or a rude message is to turn the other cheek and simply disengage. Do not respond at all. Remove them if you can. Block them if you feel like that's appropriate, an appropriate thing to do. But just do not respond. You do not have to respond. You do not have to defend, explain. You do not have to engage with these people. And I myself have found this particularly hard sometimes if somebody has left a rude comment on a YouTube video. There's a huge part of me that wants to come back and tell them why they're wrong and tell them how, what they said is not appropriate and how they're wrong. And I've done that a couple times. And you know what I feel like after? I just feel like kind of gross and almost worse about it, because I'm like, why did I even give them the time of day? Why did I even show that person that they're valuable in some sense, or that I paid attention to them, or that it bothered me? What I have learned to do is if people are truly toxic, horrible people, I will just block them, or I will just completely not engage. Remember when you were in elementary school and your teacher or parent would say to you, if somebody's bothering you, all they're trying to do is get a rise out of you. They were completely right. If you do respond, even with the best and most well thought out response, you are still going to lose, because you cannot win when you're arguing with an idiot. This is just how it is. You cannot win in an argument against somebody who is already underdeveloped, ignorant, hateful, rude, classless, tasteless. You will never win. There is no way to win with these people. So the best thing is just to look the other direction. So don't try to explain yourself. Keep on keeping on doing your thing. Let your happiness and success speak for itself later. Just remember that the wolf that you feed becomes bigger. The grass that you water becomes greener. So put your energy toward people who are positive in your life. Put your energy toward responding to people who've left you positive comments or who write you positive messages or positive notes, and give them your energy and tell them how grateful you are for them. Tell them, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It means the world to me. And feed that wolf and water that grass, and forget about the other people, because you simply will not fix that situation. You simply will not make that situation any better. Number 12 is that toxic people are in your past for a reason. So if those people show back up somehow, like they reach out to you, they phone you, they message you, or they reach out on Facebook, or Facebook recommends them to you, which thankfully I don't have to deal with that anymore because I'm not on Facebook. I can't tell you how freeing that is to not be recommended some idiot that I dated 15 years ago. I don't need to see his face. I really don't. Like, thanks Facebook, but not today. But if for some reason they show back up in your life, you do not have to let them back in. Just because you've known somebody for years doesn't mean you have to invite them back into your circle or keep them in your circle, or it doesn't mean you have to associate with them on a regular basis. People go their own directions for different reasons. And like I've said before, if they are not organically a part of your day-to-day, and these toxic people somehow show back up, this doesn't mean you have to like rekindle a relationship with them or get back into, oh yeah, so have you been? Yeah, it's been a long time. Like, no, you don't need to do that. And I would argue that if it wasn't for social media, this would never happen, because people move away, people do things, people get jobs, you change your number. The chances of you having to reconnect with a negative person from your past, or somebody who is part of a dysfunctional part of your past, or that brings up bad memories for you, this would almost never happen unless you live in an extremely small town, if it wasn't for social media, which is again why I think it's terrible for our life in general and our productivity and moving ourselves forward and progressing ourselves. It's terrible for us to be on social media connected to everybody at all times. It's just not necessary. So I don't allow people from my past to get involved. Like, if you're not involved right now, you probably don't need to be. So those are my 12 tips for how to deal with haters, negative people, and toxic people. And I just want to leave you with this final thought. Think of people as atoms. You know how atoms have electrons and protons and neutrons, and you know how you learned in science that atoms are taking energy and giving energy to each other all the time. And of course, if you believe in anything about like the law of attraction or vibration or energy or anything like that, you know that we are all moving atoms. We are all vibrating energy all the time. And atoms give and take energy from each other all the time. If you come into contact with somebody whose energy is in the toilet, do you ever not feel like they stole some of your electrons? Do you not feel that they've taken some of your energy, or that you've lost some of your energy just by being close to that person, just by having a conversation with that person? I have had this happen so many times where I've started a conversation with somebody in a really good space, really positive and upbeat, or just even just like chill, you know, like good day, having my coffee, decluttering, cleaning the house, the day is good. And 2 or 3 sentences in with that person, all of a sudden I feel my energy is like a few octaves lower. And I've asked that person before, I was like, are you okay? Because you don't sound very happy. Like, are you okay? Sometimes it's okay to be friends with those type of people, but sometimes you have to remind yourself that maybe you don't want to be in contact with that type of person all the time, because you become a lot like the people you spend your time with, and people's energy rubs off on you, and your energy rubs off on other people. If somebody is super low energy, or they're a little bit toxic, or they're always complaining, or they just are a lower energy type of person, that is not the type of person you want to be spending your time with all the time. Energy is contagious. Again, it comes down to kind of protecting your bubble. I do think that there's a place for people who bring light into the room, and who I think it's important to help others when they're in a low place. If somebody is struggling with something and they're in a deep, dark place and they're really struggling, I think it's okay to talk to those people, obviously, and try to help them out of it and talk to those people. And in that case, it actually enhances both of your energies, because you feel good about helping that person, and they feel good because they're being inspired by you and they're being helped by you. That's a different kind of scenario. But if it's the type of scenario where this person is just like a huge ball of negative energy, and all they do is like complain and cuss and stomp around like a child, and every time you leave their presence, you're like, oh my gosh, and you just feel so drained, maybe that's the kind of person you shouldn't be with. As a nurse, obviously, I spend time with people all the time who are not in good places, but I don't ever leave work feeling like it's ruined my energy. If anything, I feel better because I know that I helped that person, and I was a shoulder for them to cry on, or I was a hand for them to hold, or I somehow made their day better and they thanked me for it, and it made me feel good that I was helping them, and it made them feel good that they were being helped. And that's a good exchange. That's an exchange that both situations get lifted up. But there are people in your life where there's no positive exchange. It's just them being toxic, 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 and you having your energy taken and taken and taken, and that is a bad exchange. So just to know like the difference between that. It doesn't mean don't put yourself in a sad situation or don't put yourself in a spot where there's something negative going on, because all of us are here for a reason, and maybe your purpose is to help somebody else in that moment. Anyway, those are my thoughts today, you guys. Those are my tips for dealing with toxic people, bad energy, negative people. I hope that this video was somewhat helpful or whatever, or that somebody enjoyed it. And I hope to see you guys all very soon in my next one. Bye for now.